Last video. Frequent challenges. Look, I love the Livable Law Method. I made it. I believe in it. It changed my life. I do believe it made the life of the people around me better. It certainly made my family's life better, but it's challenging to implement. So I'm going to share with you frequent challenges, how they came up, and how I addressed them. Here we go. You may encounter people who fail to abide by your internal deadlines. I have a whole lecture about this, but fundamentally, your internal deadlines are the deadlines that you set that are happening before the external final deadline. And internal deadlines are real. If somebody says that they're going to turn over a draft by a certain date, they need to do it. If somebody says they're going to turn around a draft by a certain date, they need to do it. So, right? So you get the idea. The way to address this is by having regular meetings with everybody and going through the matrix review once a week. Just by doing that, people will eventually see that the internal deadline matters because it's the one that you are enforcing. It's the one that the team is enforcing. And when people miss internal deadlines, the question has to be why? And we're not doing a blame game. We're not there to humiliate people. But there has to be an honest conversation about why. Is it because other people assigned you stuff not on the task matrix? Is it because you overestimated how long it would take? Is there a technical issue? What's going on? The internal deadline has to be treated as real. If you treat it as real, more people is treated as real. And then eventually it'll be a self-reinforcing mechanism. Another big problem is the bottleneck employee. I would say that's probably the biggest problem. It is the biggest, most difficult problem because the bottleneck employee is usually the person with the power in the firm. It's usually a partner, an owner. It's up there in the hierarchy. And the way you get around that is by candidly explaining that it's harmful and offering to incorporate and implement this methodology in a top-down approach so that they are not facing the same kind of pileups that other people are suffering from. The other way to do it is to make sure that the bottleneck employee has enough time. So you build it into the schedule. If you know that it takes a partner 10 days to get you something back, then you're going to do that in your calendar. You're going to just provide for that. And to be honest, I very rarely had those conversations because they were just impossible to have. I nearly always do the second technique. I just plan for it. The team knows partner A takes 10 days. All right. So we need to have our part of the process done 20 days out, 25 days out, because we need to provide for that time period. But you are more able to do so if you are implementing this methodology, because then you have clarity about what the trajectory looks like. Another big problem is inaccurate time estimates. People tend to underestimate. Now, people tend to underestimate because there's a lot of shame around working slowly, and there's a lot of shame around the idea that you need time, right? Like you need time off, you need time to yourself, you need time to do the work. So this is why we really want to be open and non-judgmental with our daily meetings, our scrum meetings, and our matrix reviews, and our task management list, and our calendaring. And that is also why you want to give people who are doing the work the autonomy to choose their own time estimate, because that way somebody's not imposing it on them and getting it wrong. And then there's two types of personalities that will sometimes cause you problems when you are managing time. The first one is the underperforming would-be achiever, and the other one is just the plain underperformer, which they exist. Okay. The underperforming would-be overachiever is the person that will create this impression of busyness and this impression of I have so much going on, I have so many deadlines, I have so much calendaring to do, like just they're going. But then if you break down and look at it, it's just very chaotic, right? It's just chaos. They're missing deadlines, they're not getting work done, and that is a symptom, A, of our culture, and B, of the fact that there has to be better control over their task management, and there has to be more clarity about what they are doing and only they are doing and what other people are doing. And the weekly lineup is really helpful for that. Because then if they're going, oh, I'm doing so much, I'm so busy, then you can look at the weekly lineup every week and be like, okay, well, let's break it down. You have this on that day, this on that day, and this on this day, right? Yes. Okay. Then we know what's happening. And then you can keep an eye on what's actually getting done and how it's getting done. And then you have the chronic underperformer. And it's not what you think, actually. Underperformers don't love this system because it creates a lot of transparency. And so there will be a lot of vagueness about what they are or are not doing, how they're doing it, and they will tend to be, I found in my experience, the most recalcitrant about staying on top of the calendar and receiving a direction and being organized, because then the light is being shone on the fact that they're actually not performing that well. That's okay. It's okay. It's actually a benefit of this process. So if somebody is very recalcitrant, with like super recalcitrant in adopting these measures of time management, that should send up maybe a orange flag about the fact that you should be watching and seeing how much they're actually getting done, if you push them to provide more clarity and accountability on their use of time. That's it. That's course 2, Management of Time by the Livable Law Method. I am so glad that you joined me today. I really want this talk to change your life. I want this methodology to change your life. It changed mine. And I hope that you got something out of it. And as always, remember, you are trying to make the practice of law livable. And have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day.